If you inherited a box of old drinking glasses from your parents or grandparents, don't be too quick to get rid of them. What looks like outdated kitchenware to most people can be a hidden treasure to collectors. Quick goal before we start. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of this month, so if channels like this help you, hit subscribe. It genuinely helps more than you'd think. The right pattern, color, maker's mark, or even an unusual shade of glass can turn an everyday drinking glass into something worth a small fortune. Every year, valuable pieces get donated, sold at yard sales, or thrown away simply because no one recognized what they actually were. Before you clear out another cupboard, here are 7 vintage glassware pieces that deserve a much closer look. And by the time we reach number 1, you may never look at your kitchen cabinet the same way again. I'm starting with this one because it's the piece most likely sitting right now in a cupboard or on an open shelf somewhere in the house, and it's the one people are most ready to dismiss as ordinary green kitchenware without ever picking it up to look more closely. Anchor Hocking produced millions of these opaque mint green dishes, bowls, mugs, and mixing sets between the early 1940s and the mid-1970s, and they became so common in American homes that entire generations grew up seeing them as nothing more than sturdy, everyday wear. The color itself has a quiet resemblance to jade that serious collectors notice the moment light hits it at the right angle, yet most owners never make that connection because the pieces feel too familiar, too much a part of the background of ordinary life. What separates a thrift store find from a piece that actually moves on the secondary market is the early block letter marking on the bottom, the particular density and weight of the original glass, and the absence of the later, thinner reissues that flooded the market after production ended. Restaurant ware pieces and the rarer ball pitchers have been selling steadily in the low hundreds when the color is even and the surface hasn't been heavily worn, while complete nesting bowl sets in good condition keep climbing because they're becoming harder to assemble without chips or fading. Condition is everything here. A lid that still seats properly, a surface that retains its original soft matte glow rather than the dullness that comes from decades of harsh scrubbing, and the presence of the early impressed marks can make the difference between something that sits ignored on a shelf and something a serious collector will quietly pursue across multiple sales. Almost every American kitchen once held a set of Pyrex mixing bowls or covered casseroles, and most of those pieces still feel too familiar to be worth anything more than sentimental value. The primary colors and the later floral patterns are so common that they barely register when you open a cupboard door. What changes the equation completely are the short-run promotional patterns that Corning produced for only a year or two in the late 1950s and early 1960s, patterns most people have never even heard of. Lucky in Love, with its small hearts and clovers scattered across a white background, Pink Daisy, and the Atomic Eyes chip and dip sets have all moved from cupboard curiosities into the hundreds and in complete condition with original lids into the low thousands on the secondary market. The difference is almost never visible at a casual glance. It's the specific pattern printed on the glass, the presence of the original clear glass lid that still fits tightly, and the absence of heavy wear and fading that comes from decades of dishwasher cycles and daily use. People have sold entire nested sets for almost nothing at estate sales because they assumed every piece of old Pyrex was the same as the common spring blossom or butterfly gold patterns that still turn up everywhere. The market has already decided otherwise. When a promotional pattern appears with its original lid intact and the color still strong and clear, the same piece that sat on a grandmother's counter for 50 years becomes something collectors track across multiple platforms and wait patiently to acquire. The ordinary look is precisely what allowed so many of these pieces to survive intact, and it's also what keeps most current owners from checking the pattern carefully enough to realize what they actually hold in their hands. The pink and green plates that filled Depression-era cupboards were often given away free with groceries or sold for a few cents at the local 5 and dime, and that history still colors how people treat them today. Most of the common colors remain modest in value and continue to sit in boxes waiting for the next garage sale. The cobalt blue royal lace pieces and the rarer blue Mayfair open rose forms are a completely different story. Cookie jars with their original lids, covered butter dishes, and large pitchers in those specific colors have been selling in the mid to high hundreds when the blue is deep and saturated and the surface is free of the cloudiness that comes from long storage in damp basements. The glass itself is thin and delicate, and the molds were intricate enough that complete examples with original lids have become noticeably harder to find every year. What still surprises me is how often these pieces sit in the exact same cabinets as the common pink plates and receive the same indifferent treatment from the people who inherited them. Once you learn to separate the cobalt from the rest of the stack, the ordinary-looking collection of glass begins to look very different. The market has already made that distinction clear, and the gap between the pieces people ignore and the pieces that actually move at auction or online continues to widen as more collectors focus on the scarcer colors. These yellow-green pieces were once ordinary tableware and decorative objects made with a small amount of uranium oxide mixed into the glass formula, which is what gives them their characteristic neon glow under ultraviolet light. For decades, they sat in cupboards looking slightly sickly or unattractive to modern eyes, and most owners never thought to test them with a simple black light. The glow itself isn't the only source of value, but it's the thing that has brought a new generation of collectors into the category and driven prices upward for the better forms. Common tumblers and plates still sell in the modest range of $20 to $50, yet more interesting shapes, Epernese, complete punch sets with matching cups, or marked pieces from Fenton and Northwood have moved steadily into the low hundreds and higher when the surface is clean and the form is desirable. People have discarded these pieces at yard sales because the color felt unattractive under ordinary household light, only to learn later that a simple black light held against the glass would have revealed something the market already values. The glow isn't a gimmick or a modern trick. It's a direct result of the material itself and the historical period in which the glass was made. And when the form is interesting and the surface hasn't been damaged, the same glass that once held everyday food or flowers becomes an object that collectors actively seek out at estate sales and online auctions. The iridescent bowls and plates that once sold for pennies at carnivals or were given away as premiums with purchases still look to most eyes like inexpensive fair glass that belongs in a box of miscellaneous kitchen items. The early Fenton examples from the first 2 decades of the 20th century are a completely different matter. Strong iridescence that shifts color when the light moves across the surface, desirable patterns such as holly or orange tree, and the less common colors have been selling in the low to mid-hundreds for years, and the better pieces continue to climb when the surface hasn't been worn down by decades of handling and cleaning. Most of these pieces entered American homes as inexpensive gifts or carnival prizes and then stayed there for generations, which is why complete examples still appear in estates with surprising regularity. The rainbow sheen that once made them seem cheap and common is exactly what collectors now look for when they examine a piece under good light. When the iridescence is intact and the form is one of the more sought-after patterns, the same bowl that sat on a sideboard for 60 years becomes something the market treats with real respect and real money. The ordinary history is what allowed so many of these pieces to survive in time, and it's also what keeps most current owners from looking closely enough to notice the quality of the iridescence. These mid-century bar glasses with their heavy gold filigree overlays and geometric or jewel tone designs were once common on American bar carts and in the gift departments of department stores during the 1960s and 70s. Valencia remains the most frequently seen pattern and is still relatively accessible, yet the scarcer designs, Seville with its blue diamonds interspersed through the gold, or the more theatrical Mardi Gras and leopard motifs, have been selling in matched sets for several $100s when the gold is still bright and the glasses are free of the cloudiness that comes from repeated dishwasher cycles. The gold itself is real 22-karat overlay applied to the surface of the glass, and once that gold is worn away or damaged, the value drops sharply. Most people who inherited a set treat the glasses as ordinary party wear from another era and never check the pattern names or the condition of the gold decoration carefully enough to realize what they have. The ones who stop long enough to notice the quality of the decoration, the weight of the glass, and the presence of a clear signature or pattern mark are the ones who discover they're holding something the secondary market still wants and will pay for. These glasses were made to look luxurious without costing a fortune at the time they were new, and that same combination of presence, relative scarcity, and surviving gold decoration is what keeps the better sets moving among collectors of mid-century barware. This is the one that still catches me off guard every time I encounter a good set. George Briard designed gold-accented highballs, old fashions, serving trays, and ice buckets that filled the more stylish American bars and sideboards from the 1950s through the 1970s, and his work was sold in the better department stores of the period. The signature, usually written in gold script near the rim or on the base, is easy to miss if you're not looking for it specifically, and most owners never notice it at all. Signed sets in the more distinctive patterns have been selling steadily in the low to mid-hundreds, and the scarcer designs with a stronger graphic presence or more elaborate gold work continue to climb when the condition is strong. These were never the cheapest glasses available on the market, yet they were common enough in their day that entire sets still turn up in estates and at thrift stores with surprising frequency. What separates the ordinary gold-rimmed glass from the pieces that actually move is the presence of the clear signature, the condition of the gold decoration, and the particular widths or geometric clarity of the design itself. People have sold complete sets for almost nothing at estate sales because they assumed every piece of gold-decorated mid-century glass was essentially the same as the next. The market has already decided otherwise. When a signed set appears with the gold still bright and the glass is free of chips or heavy wear, the same pieces that once held ordinary cocktails at weekend parties become objects that collectors of mid-century design will quietly compete for across multiple platforms. The ordinary look is what allowed them to survive in so many homes for decades, and it's also what continues to hide their value from the people who own them right now. Every piece on this list started out as something ordinary: kitchenware, party glasses, carnival prizes, the kind of thing nobody thought twice about. And in every single case, it was the small detail, a mark, a pattern, a glow under black light that made the difference between something forgotten and something worth real money. Before you clear out another cupboard, take a closer look at what's actually sitting inside it. Drop a comment below and tell me which of these 7 you think might be hiding in your own kitchen right now. I read every single one.